Should I name my children as beneficiaries of my life insurance policy? This is a great question. So, we actually never recommend that you name a minor as a beneficiary of any assets. So, that's whether it's an insurance policy or retirement account or any other type of asset. This is the reason. If you, as an asset owner, pass away before they're an adult, then that money and those funds of that asset are going to be payable directly to that minor child. And as a minor, they're given this money. And as a minor, they're not legally able to control or manage that money. So what that means is the court could actually step in and appoint someone to be in charge of that money for them until they're 18 or in some cases 21. So what that means is that someone other than you is making that decision. The judge is deciding who's going to manage that money for your children. Now, I always recommend that as part of your estate plan, you can make that choice ahead of time. You can decide who is going to be managing that money for your children ahead of time. So if you name a minor child outright as a beneficiary, we're not leaving it up to chance as to what would happen to it and who's going to be managing it. We don't want to leave that stranger, that probate judge, deciding who's in charge of the asset and who's making decisions about how that money is going to be used on their behalf. But even then, I'd recommend you take a step further in your estate plan to actually cover that piece altogether, that piece of how the money is going to be used. So if you just leave it up to the judge to decide who's in charge of 21, and it's a significant amount of money, let's say it's $1 million, even if the judge is deciding who's in charge of it, or you're deciding who's in charge of it for them, it's going to go to them outright when they're 18 if you name them as the beneficiary of that asset. I would recommend that you do some planning ahead of time to make sure that there's some oversight, that the money is given to them at a time when they're more mature, that they're more financially stable and ready to manage the $500,000 or the $1 million insurance policy that you left them. So naming a minor as, or even a young adult as the beneficiary of an insurance policy may not produce the outcome that an experience you want for your child. Providing some guidance and maybe some oversight of someone who's a little more mature and financially stable to help guide your child through the acceptance and the management of their inheritance could be the way to do it, so that you're preserving that money for certain milestones in their life, like a wedding or purchasing a home or going to grad school, that kind of thing. If with that oversight and that guidance built into your plan, you can make sure that the money is used in a more mature and more reasonable way. So it's really important for us to help our clients make sure that naming a minor child as a beneficiary is not usually the best route to go.